Hey there again. So if you're hearing my voice, you survived part one. Luckily that was the trickier bit. The second part of this tutorial goes into how we're going to take a soft selection and convert it into vertex color. So let's jump right into the flow. So here we are inside the Max creation graph. And what we want to do is we want to take a soft selection and we want to change it into vertex color. So the first thing we do is we bring in the modifier mesh into the MCG graph and we pipe it into this soft selection node. And what this thing is really going to do is make an array for every vert in the mesh. How selected is that vert? Selected is a 0 to 1 float, 0 is not selected, 1 is totally selected. And then we're going to map that value with a function. So really what we want to do is we want to take, instead of being a 0 to 1, how selected am I? We want a 0 to be one color and a 1 to be a different color. How wet or how dry am I in the case of wet maps? So what I've got here is a dry RGB. This is a vector 3 and I'm just inputting 3 constants right into it. These are hardwired. I plan to do some parameters in there, but for whatever reason those implicit parameters seem to crash or not compile correctly. I don't know if that's a bug or if it's meant to be that way, but as a workaround I just went ahead and plugged in numbers. So these 3 numbers represent the dry, which is kind of a blue. These 3, as you see, R is 1, G0, B0, so it's all red, nothing else. So that's the red. These are my 2 colors. We then have this blend dry wet group here, and that's using lerp, which lerp is a linear interpolation. It is going to blend between this vector and this vector by this amount, this single. So 0 is going to be 1, a 1 is going to be completely the other direction, 0.5 would be a mix 50-50 of these two guys, 50%. And that's based off of this number here. So what are we going to use as our kind of blend factor here? Well, we want to use how soft selected it is. So when something is fully selected, this is going to pass a 1 into here, and you're going to get fully wet. If it's completely unselected, you're going to pass a 0, and it's going to be dry. What map is doing here is taking that array, and now it's going to transform that array by this function, and we'll have a new array of a bunch of different RGB values, one for every vertice. But what we have to do is then reassociate that with the vertices, and that's what we do in this next piece here, map vertex index with vertex color. So we take our modifier mesh again, and I just brought this little pass through here. It's just for organization. It doesn't do anything but pass the information up here and down to here so that we don't have to have the wires go straight through our description here. From that mesh, we want to grab the mesh indices, which is a way to think about that as the vert IDs. So every vertex has an ID, of vertex number 1 or number 10 or whatever. So since this mesh indices is sending out these IDs, which are integers, you can think that that number is being kind of piped down into n here. So for index 1, we're going to get slot number 1 in this array, and that was the equivalent of vertex number 1 over here as well. So we're just reassociating these vector 3 colors with the corresponding vertice on that mesh. So this map then sends out an array which we send into a new node called set vertex color map channel. So that just dumps that right into here and it sets the vertex color. We then have a couple other nodes up here. Is the mesh soft selected? This is a component that asks, does the mesh have a soft selection? It returns a binary yes or no, and that's piped over to this if condition here. So if it doesn't have a soft selection, it doesn't waste its time to even run this math. If it does have a soft selection, well then it's going to go ahead and pipe in the color that we determined using all these nodes. And then it dumps it right back out into the mesh. And when we close this, you can see that with that on, it takes the soft selection, the most selected goes to wet, and unselected stays as the dry color. Thanks for listening to the tutorials. If you have any questions, comments, or corrections, feel free to reach out to me and I will try to answer them as soon as possible. Thank you.